Let's go. All right, guys, it's a couple of days before the new year officially starts with work, which starts on the 6th. Today is the 4th. I'm not sure where the time's gone in these holidays, but I wanted to do a little bit of a different video. As you can see, there's some storage boxes back here, and that's all Pokemon cards. So as you guys know, or probably don't know, I like to invest into Pokemon cards, and so I need to now move all of these boxes, which I've been accumulating over the last 2 weeks, into the storage center. Now, for myself, I think it's important that I keep the distance between myself and the boxes. I have found that previously I've kept the boxes around and then I suddenly open them, and for anyone that has Pokemon cards or invests in them, you lose a lot of value if you were to open them. So it's straight up gambling at that point, whereas all the sealed stuff, it's just simple supply and demand. Anyway, so I enjoy this stuff, and what I don't enjoy is having to move it into storage. I thought I could take you guys along on the journey, show you what, I think the value of the cards now probably reaching about 250k. I think. So show you what a storage center looks like. Now I've actually got two, and I haven't been here in over I'm going to say 8 or 9 months. And that's because I haven't been purchasing, a lot of stuff. It's only the last couple of weeks where I've been accumulating, and yeah, Sanjo doesn't like it, especially if the boxes are just laying around in the living room, which makes sense. So I thought, okay, I'm going to accumulate as much as I can before I have to take it to storage. But the problem is, I have no idea where my second storage is, and I know that I've got a lot more stuff. Well, I've got a lot of stuff in this one, but the more valuable stuff's in the other one, and I just don't have the details for it. So it sounds silly, but I'm sure I could figure it out. They don't actually open for another half an hour, so I'm hoping I can get all of this stuff, but I'm not sure if it fits into my original one, and that's the reason why I got the second one. So I'm going to have to try and see if this is going to be worthwhile. Otherwise, you're stuck with me for a couple of minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and I can just show you some Pokemon products and things like that. In terms of actually getting into the second one, that's where I want to get into, and I can start actually, loading a lot of this stuff in. But let's go out, and hopefully I still have the keys, and check out what's actually in the storage center. So there is a bit of space in here. Ideally, I don't want to put everything in here, but at least I can put some of the stuff, and I'm hoping that by the time I finish up with that, I can then go and, speak to the guys and be like, hey, look, I have no idea what my other storage is, and hopefully I can get in. But this is probably, I would say it's probably 2.5, 3 years worth of stuff that I've been picking up. I'll show you a little bit around what I've got, and yeah, hopefully you can just kick back, relax, and I'll share with you guys my thoughts around working in a couple of days, how excited I am. I'm also heading to Melbourne on Wednesday the 8th. So I'm going to shoot a couple of podcasts with some guests, and I'm there for a couple of days. And then I come back and I've got some recording. So 3 days of recording in a recording studio, I suppose. And that's for the book. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to try and show you guys behind the scenes of that as well. But let's go through a couple of the products that I've got back here. All right, I realized how hard it is because my address is on literally everything. But what I have here is, this is the Ultra Premium Collection, the Charizard one. So this came out, I'm going to say 2023, maybe 2022. And the reason why these actually, when I initially bought them, I think they were about 200 or 220 each, and then they dropped down to about 150 to 180, and now they're absolutely pumping. So I think the latest sort of sales are around that sort of 300 to 350 mark. All of these sets are from the Sword and Shield era, and these Evolving Sky boxes, or packs, are really, really expensive. Fusion Strike's taken off as well, and I guess these promos aren't really worth much, but yeah, really cool product. People hated them, and I think I picked up I went a little crazy with it, and I picked up, I'm gonna say 25 cases, and each one has 4 in them. So what's that, 100 boxes, which is cool. So that one's doing well. So I found this location here. It's pretty cool. You guys can stick around as I have a bit of a chat around what I've got here. So I've got a random box here, which is full of booster packs, and this is the 25th anniversary. It's the Japanese edition. Lights and motion sensors, or censored. And so these ones will do quite well over the next 18 months, purely because we have the 30th anniversary coming up. I can also see that there's some boxes back there that have collapsed, which is not a really good sign when you're trying to keep everything like mint. And that's the whole point of this, is that if you can, you know, maintain the quality, you're not playing around with it, then that's how you're going to do quite well. I've also got another one of those boxes. I must have opened some cards as well. What's this? So yeah, I must have opened some cards as well from the same set, and then I've just left them in here. I was really bad at organizing this sort of stuff. I remember when we had to start moving, I just sort of piled everything in and, you know, hope for the best. Okay, this is from the good old this is from the good old Bored Ape NFT season, and I had bought some merchandise which I still have in packaging. So if you guys are into that sort of stuff, let me know, and I could probably do like a giveaway of some sort, and you guys can get some hoodies and trackies and whatnot. What else do I have here? That's useless. I've got some stuff that's like sealed, so I can't open those, but I will try and move around a couple of things. What's in here? It's a big box. I have no idea what some of this stuff is. It's so funny. Oh, sealed box of something. This is also going to be really fun because you could go through some... Oh, okay. This will be an interesting story and teaches you a lot about investing. So yeah, part of the fun in this is going through some stuff, and I've watched some other people do this, is where they've totally forgotten what they've got, and then they go through some stuff and they're like, oh shit, I've got that. So here we have a case. So boxes like this come in. I don't know if it's going to be mirrored, but essentially this is a case of Fusion Strike. And I remember this came out November 12th, 2021. And I remember people were like, oh, you know, at that point, crypto had just done its all-time high, and, you know, everything was collapsing after that. And no one really cared about, you know, Pokemon cards, or not that much. And these, they were struggling to sell these. And I remember picking up cases, which is 6 booster boxes, and each booster box has 36 packs. And so I remember picking up a whole case, and it used to be, I was picking them up for like $900 or $1,000. And I just picked up one, which was a really good deal, for 2,800, and you know, that's last week of 2024. So you're talking about 3 years later, and it's 2.5x. But that was actually a cheap deal, because now we've just seen a supply crunch, and they're probably selling closer to about, what's the latest I've seen? 3,500. I've seen 4,000 as well. So if you think about that, that's a 4x in 3 years, or 4 years almost. Absolutely insane. I don't think anyone thought it was going to go that. Well, I definitely didn't. But again, I did something well, because I bought 4 of them at that time. So I remember the guy trying to sell them to me. He was like, man, just take them off my hands. He runs a store. And so I ended up picking up that, and that was a really good deal. So that's amazing. And I've realized that there's more of the booster cases that actually made a lot of sense. You know, got in at the right pricing, and that's in the other storage, you know, storage unit. But let's see what else I have here. Okay, so I've got more of the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection boxes. They're going to be lying around everywhere. I've got a couple in my car as well. They're actually Deeps's, so they're not mine. The ones that I made a loss on were probably all of the Dragon Ball stuff, which is a shame. But again, for me, it's okay, because I'm just going to hold them. I have no intentions to sell, to be honest. Not at least right now. And I think it comes down to like how much I was willing to invest. I was obviously comfortable. Yeah, I was obviously comfortable just holding them for a really long time. And hindsight's a beautiful thing, because I wish I went deeper into a couple of these sets as an investment, and then there's a lot of shit in here that just went for pretty much nothing, and I probably lost 60-70% on them. But there's not much I can get around to. There's a couple of boxes here, but I can't get to them, and given how I organized this, because I was trying to do it in a rush, there's no way for me to get in the back. So let's see what I can do. What's this sitting on? And as I mentioned, there's a few boxes back there that are actually squashed, so I'm hoping they're not affected. And it's probably the first thing I can go and check out. I'll move around these. I wonder what these are. That's a heavy box. All right, let me try and get into the back here. Struggling. What are those? Ooh, I didn't know I had two of those. So there's Evolving Skies back here as well, which is really cool. A couple of cases of that. Yeah, going through these things, I'm going to have to allocate a proper day. I only have, I told Sandra I'd be done in an hour, and that's because we have dance practice as well for the wedding. So we've got a couple of friends coming, and we're going to go and do some dance practice for the wedding. But Evolving Skies, so that was another booster box. That one was selling pretty consistently from the beginning, and I remember having to pay up for it, and at the time I was like, oh, I don't know. So I remember at retail it sort of came in at sort of 1,200, shot up, and I think I purchased them, so I purchased a couple of cases, and I purchased them for, I'm going to say $2,500, and that pretty much gets it to about $350 to $400 a box, and each one now sells for about $1,200 to $1,300. So each case in that case, each case, which would be multiple of 6 times, say, 1,300, what's that? 6,000, 7,000, almost $8,000 is what you could get a case for now, and I spent about 2.5. So, yeah, pays to be, I guess, involved in the space and knowing which ones are going to do well, and which ones won't do so well. And that's one that's done really well from an investment point of view. But I've never actually opened it, like a box up, and I just couldn't justify opening up $1,000 box now, despite like the main card you can get in there is like worth a couple of thousand if you grade them as well. So I'm not really sure what else I could do here, because I don't really want to be, just for the sake of just piling them on, put them in here. And in terms of timing, I've got another 15 minutes before I can actually speak to someone at the front and get access to my other storage unit, and that's when I'm going to have to put everything else in. But yeah, it's just, I guess I'll have this chat with you when I get back into the car, because I'm not really sure who else is around here. So let's go back to the car. All right, update is that I decided to go through my phone when I got back to the car and think, okay, I'm going to give this one last chance, because I'm not going to wait another 10 minutes for nothing. And so I've actually found the details of my second storage unit. So that was lucky. And I haven't been here since August 2023, which is wild, because now, as of recording this, it's week 1 of 2025. So it's been almost 18 months. I thought it was like 9 months maybe, but 18 months. And I think part of the reason why I like this sort of investing, and I know some people will still say, oh, it's not investing, but if I'm in something that grows at 20, 30, 40% sometimes annually, and has been doing it for over 20 years, to me, that's an investment. So, yeah, the fact that I haven't been here in 18 months means I actually don't know what I've even got. And I know that there's some apps out there that can help you track these things, which is what I've used, but it doesn't capture everything. So there's a lot of stuff, like especially in that unit, because that's the one I've been collecting for a couple of years. The one that I'm about to go into has been more 18 to 24 months, which is still a long time. And for me, because it's not in my site, I don't remember what I've got. So obviously I'll add it into the app that I use, which is the Collector app. And then that way you can just sort of monitor, certain products and how much they're worth. But in reality, even those aren't really a good indication of the true value. And so you can go onto eBay, and I spend a lot of time like sort of in, because it's fundamentally a hobby for me, but I also love, you know, the act of making money and investing. So it's like the two come together, and, you know, I sort of love watching that sort of content, Pokemon investing content. And so I always feel like I'm in the loop anyway. And it doesn't feel like a task at all, which I think is pretty much the, I guess, takeaway from how I'm living my life now, which is I really, really enjoy what I do. And whether it's this sort of stuff, whether it's real estate, whether it's running the business, whether it's, you know, the podcast and creating content like this, yeah, I really just enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like work. And I know it takes time, but for me, I'd much rather do this, learn a couple of different skills. I've learned how to use this new camera over the last, you know, couple of months, which you guys would have seen the vlogs from like the US, and I had no idea what I was doing. To a certain extent, I still don't know. But that's, I guess, the beauty in all of this is, you know, spending time. Hi, how are you?
Can you park? Can you just park a little forward, please?
Yeah, no
Another
problems.
Customer came, he couldn't go through.
Ah, okay, no problems.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just move my car now. And so, okay, well maybe, because I have to go now anyway. I'm gonna just park here because you shouldn't really be recording and driving. Okay, so I'm just gonna park here for a second, talk to you guys, and then I'm gonna head to the next location. And then that way I'm not annoying anyone. So anyways, I think the beauty of me not being able to see, you know, the actual physical products means that, you know, I sort of just, you know, DCA in, just collect. And for me, it's gonna be such a cool, I mean, even just going here today, it brings me back so many memories from all of the pandemic era, because that's when I started, you know, collecting and started learning about this stuff. So for me, it's going to be that I'm going to see certain products. Obviously, there's stuff from like my childhood, which takes me back straight away. There's certain cards that I see that I knew that my cousin had in her deck, or my brother's favorite card, and that's going to take me back to, you know, being young again. And there's nothing that will do that for me. So even if all of this stuff goes down to zero, it doesn't matter. And again, that's where it comes down to how much are you willing to put in, how much are you, you know, able to, I guess, cop the losses for. And obviously with historical data and buying the right stuff, it's going to go up in value anyway. But I just don't know if I'm going to sell anything. There's some stuff there that doesn't really mean much to me. It's just purely got into it because it made money. So those are the products that I could probably get out of, and then maybe get into some of the stuff that was more nostalgic for me. But yeah, even just doing today, imagine in a couple of years when I do this, or, you know, we really fast forward into like 10 years from now, and, you know, my kids are probably collecting Pokemon cards, and then just have this massive flex day, which I can share here, and just be like, oh yeah, so, you know, I assume they're gonna like Pokemon, and then they go, oh yeah, this is like my Charizard card, and look at this, and look at that. And I'm just like, hey man, your dad used to collect. And he'll be like, nah dad, you shit. You don't collect anything. And then just mad flex and just earn the respect of him and his friends. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. And I can watch this clip in 10 years time and yeah, see what happens. But anyways, I'm going to start making a move. All right, update is that it took me a good 15 minutes. I'm not kidding you, 15 minutes to walk around the entire floor to figure out exactly where my storage was, because I've only been here once, and that was 18 months ago. So I'm finally here, and it looks to be a lot smaller than I remember, and especially with how much I have to put in here, it looks like I'm probably going to reach capacity, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to show you how much I've got in here at the moment, some of the stuff that I've got in here, but also what I'm about to put in. And I think it's pretty much everything that I've got in here is a mixture between, I'm going to say 30% of it is Deepster stuff, and then 70% is mine. And then of the stuff that I'm bringing in, there's probably two boxes that are Deepsters, and then the rest are mine. So I'm probably looking at, rough estimate is probably 60K worth. And that if you look at across maybe 40 cases, and this was like my big, you know, I can invest into Pokemon cards, stack it, forget about it for the rest of the year, and then I can continue doing what I need to do, and it keeps me entertained. It's an expensive hobby, but it's one that actually appreciates in value, so it's like a mind F. But I'm going to go through a couple of the things that I have here and I'll show you guys. So to give you a look as to what the storage looks like in terms of the stuff that needs to... So this probably gives you a bit of an idea of how many boxes there are. So this is heaps of stuff, again, more of that UPC stuff. In here, there's actually a couple of cases. So there'd be like two, and then, yeah, just Pokemon cases. All right, let's go through a couple of things. First up here, I think I've put a couple of Deepster stuff back here, but this is Flesh and Blood. So this is Monarch First Edition. This hasn't done so well, but that's okay. It is part of the investing game. Wonder what was in here. It's definitely Pokemon, and it is covered, which is not ideal. The Celebrations Elite Trainer box. So this is again 25th anniversary, but this was English, so that's going to do quite well. It's starting to move up anyway. What's this? Bought this off eBay, and I have no idea what's in it, and I haven't opened it, so let's just leave it that way. This one here, this looks like a cool box. Alright, this seems like it's Pokemon as well, and more of those. Oh, so this is the Celebrations UPC. This came out for the 25th anniversary, and they shot up as well, so I think I bought them as soon as they came out, bought them for like $250 each, and I think within 3 months they were selling it like $450, so it was like a nice 2x. And I think at the moment you could still probably, like, they didn't really do much, but they're going to start moving up, especially as we get into like the anniversary year next year, and I would suspect they're probably like 600 to 700. And I probably have, I'm going to say probably about 8 to 10 cases, and each case again comes with 4 of them. So that was a nice little investment there. This looks like it's Dragon Ball. Yep, that's the stuff I lost money on. So let's not go there. What's this? This is... okay. So this was my first time buying like Magic the Gathering products, and it was like the collector boxes. They did a Lord of the Rings crossover. And so these were selling for like $500 each. I decided to open them because they had like serialized cards in there. I obviously didn't get one of those, but if you did, you could sell that for like, I think Post Malone actually may have bought that, and I think he bought it for like $500,000. So I think a lot of people were opening it for that. And as a result, there's not many that are sealed. And this one's open as well. And I should have kept them sealed because, yeah, I bought them for, I think it was like $400-500. And yeah, some cool stuff. Anyways, I enjoy opening Pokemon cards. Don't really know anything about Magic the Gathering cards, but because it was Lord of the Rings, I watched it. I thought that would be pretty cool. And then I believe, yes. So I believe these are like graded cards that I've got. So I've got a stack of these, a couple of boxes, but these were all from the Dragon Ball stuff. And again, these aren't worth that much. To be honest, it's probably worth less than how much it cost me to grade them. So that's unfortunate. But again, I think what I've found over the years when it comes to, collectibles and TCGs, you just never know what's going to pop at what point. And those cards, again, like for me, I enjoyed opening them up a lot. Depending which set they were, I would open more of those than I did with the Pokemon stuff, and I just enjoyed it a lot more. So that's Deepster stuff. Don't know what that is. Okay, and then under here, I've got a box within boxes, and they're just cases of Pokemon cards. And this would be another case as well. When did I purchase this? No idea. But this is Chilling Reign. So another Sword and Shield booster box case. So I'll leave that here. now I think it's about time I start loading this place up. Alright, well I'm just going to load up and you guys can decide to stay or you can fast forward, but I'm going to share with you my thoughts around life at the moment. So we're about 4 weeks out from the wedding, so exactly 4 weeks from today we fly out. There's about 23 of us that are going on that flight, and yeah, it's going to be crazy to be traveling with that many people as well. Yeah, I haven't done a trip like that in a really long time. I did the US probably, I'm going to say it's closing in on about 10 years ago, and we did that for, we used to do professional dance, and so we traveled overseas, and there was a group of us. The group was, I think there was about 30 of us, and traveling with such a large group can absolutely do your head in, especially because everyone's like doing their own thing and everyone needs to be at a certain place. It's very dusty in here. And so that's the last time I did a trip with so many people. And now that we're going on this trip, obviously it's for the wedding, but the way that we're going to do it, so we're doing it in a place about 3 hours south of Bangkok. So the flight from Sydney to Bangkok is 9 hours. So it's going to be 9 hours. Hold up. It's going to be 9 hours, and then there's going to be 3 hours on a bus ride. So we're getting like a private bus. I'm not sure if we're going to do private bus or we just do a bunch of SUVs. That might be a bit more comfortable. So I might do that instead. And as soon as we get there, we're just going to relax, kick back, and then the next day is pretty much like a buffer day. And that's when we're going to, again, just speak with the wedding planners. I'm not really good at multitasking, so the fact that I'm even speaking to you guys is, yeah, it's pretty cool. But over here, as I said, you know, I've pretty much bought Paldea Evolved, which is like a set that came out a year and a bit ago, almost 18 months ago. So I bought 4 of those. There was a good price on that. I've got one Obsidian Flame, which is a set just after that, and then a lot of the sword and shield stuff. So that stuff is getting really expensive. It's pretty much like 2.5x from where they were at retail, but they're not getting printed anymore. And so if you look at the set before that, and I feel like it's all cycles, whether it's investing into this stuff, investing into real estate, you can see the cycles play out, and yeah, it's playing out. So it gives you the confidence to go, okay, I can go heavier into the next one. And yeah, there's a guy I follow. If you guys are interested in this sort of content, you should follow Rudy Alpha Investments on YouTube. Some phenomenal stuff, and this probably inspired this video as well, to be honest, because he went through like his Pokemon bathroom, which is where he just like smashed a lot of the Pokemon stuff, and he was like, no one wants to buy this crap, it's not going to be worth anything. And some of those products were like, you know, he was buying them for like 50, 60 bucks, and now they're worth 700, 800 bucks, and he had a lot of them. So that video is viral on YouTube and is definitely a fun watch. Just gives you a lot of perspective of time in the market. Even the shittier products, they actually went up too. So I think if you can be patient in this game, you can do quite well. I clearly haven't learned from my mistakes that I made in the last storage center, which is, you know, have everything properly planned. In an ideal world, I'd have stacking shelves and everything's gonna be nice. But yeah, clearly I'm not doing that. I think the other part to this is people ask the question, well, you know, are you comfortable with having, you know, so much stuff in a storage center? Yes, because it's all insured, AC controlled, so it's better than what I'm going to have at home. And I'm pretty sure you can't, there's like a limit to, you know, there's a limit to how much you can insure at home, especially if it's like valuable stuff. I'm going to keep this one up, but I'm going to have to get into that one. All right, so where am I going to put this? The hard part with this is that like a lot of the stuff has my address on it. Don't really want to, tell you where I live because there's some real weirdos out there. And then there's a lot of nice people out there too, but don't really want to do that. All right, you're going to have to get off from here. I'm going to have to try another location. All right, got you in this location now. Who's just messaged me? Sandra. She doesn't know I'm making a video, which is why it's taking so long. But I already know I'm thanking myself already for making this video. It's gonna be so cool to come back to, watch it again. Realize that's probably not a good spot to put it in, but I have no space. And then I'll just put these straight up here, and then we can head home because dance practice starts in. Actually, I might put this one afterwards. Dance practice starts in half an hour. Thankfully, I don't have to go too far. All right, that's pretty much all of them. I'll check in with you guys in the car because I'm gonna have to make a move now. There we have it, guys. The trip that should have taken about 25 minutes has taken me a good hour and a half, but it was so worth it because I get to show you guys what it looks like living another day in my life. And for a lot of people, they think it's boring, but this is the best life ever. To be doing this on a Saturday morning, I love it. And to be able to go through some of that stuff that I had there, it just throws back to those memories of, the pandemic and how that kicked off, then just going in and understanding something new, learning about something new. And now it's so weird because I remember when I started, I remember watching a couple of videos and then like buying some stuff, getting wrecked on it because I bought the wrong stuff. And that's what comes back down to what I say is you got to have skin in the game sometimes to learn. At least that's how I learn. And so I had to get wrecked to then go, okay, how do I not repeat the same mistakes again? And that is such a big key. And I think Ray Dalio speaks about it in his book, Principles. He talks about how you can't just make a mistake and not learn from it. You need to understand the process, what you were thinking, why it happened a particular way. And then you pretty much build like a framework in your mind to go, okay, I'm not going to repeat those things again, but now I can see the patterns of what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like that's been this journey with, Pokemon cards. So one, it's an expensive hobby that actually appreciates. So I'm glad that I'm not into I'm not into gaming, definitely not gambling, drinking and all the other stuff that people do on the weekends. I'm not into that. For me, it was me watching this morning, wake up, watch a couple of investment videos around Pokemon cards because it makes me, helps me relax. And then doing something like this, it's not ideal, to be spending an hour and a half doing it, but I get to shoot some content. And it's gonna be awesome to be able to come back to this because even just going in there and seeing stuff from like 2 years ago and not knowing that it was in there, now imagine what it looks like in a couple of years as life gets busier and I'm just not going to remember these things as much. I don't see myself really buying too many cards this year. I say that, but I really have my eyes on a couple of things. The other thing I was going to say as well is I've realized a pattern within myself, which is how I've invested into Pokemon cards and how it's similar to how I've invested into real estate is, you might have a title here saying something like $250,000 investment in Pokemon cards. And people automatically go, oh, it must be like the Holy Grail cards, it must be the PSA 10 Charizard and things like that. Whereas it's just the boring stuff. It's the stuff that you can buy that's low in supply, know the timing of the market, get in, hold for a long time. It's really, really boring. I find it interesting because the money goes up and I can see what's working, what's not working. But for a lot of people, they get caught up in the glitz and glamour of investing. And even with real estate, it's like if I go, I've got a $15 million portfolio, it's like, oh, you must have a couple of properties in Point Piper that buys you probably half a property. But, in the east, or they're going to be really nice waterfront stuff. And it's not. It's you just look at the numbers and stay logical. Because the longer you can stay logical, the more benefits you get, the greater return you get. Because most people operate on emotions. They can't control their emotions. And when it comes to investing, the lines are so blurred for people. So having done this for a while, I've been sort of investing in Pokemon cards since late 2020. So I'm coming in on now just over 4 years. It's been beautiful. I love it. And even now, just seeing kids when I go to the shops and I see them open up cards, and it reminds me of when I was a kid as well. So there's that element too, which is something special, and that nostalgia kick I've mentioned before is something I can't get with anything else. So I think there's a part of me that goes, could I invest in more real estate? Could I go and put it into something else and make more of a return? Probably. But for me, this is like, I could stay so liquid with this stuff. There's some stuff in there, like let's say the Evolving Skies case. If that's now worth $8,000, if I put it up on Facebook in a couple of groups that I'm in and I put it up for 6K, I can guarantee you within half an hour it'll get bought. And so I'd have cash, where else can I do that? I can't do that with real estate. I can do it with crypto, but then you got to get it back into your wallet. There's a few, it's easy, but it's still digital, and I don't have that. So for me, if I'm going to have my money saved in a bank account, which I do anyway, it doesn't really make sense apart from my emergency fund, and I want every dollar just working for me. So if I've got this sort of stuff, which, this year's been great, there's some stuff that's gone up 80, 90, 100%. Some of it's 200%. But if you average it out over the long term, over the last couple of years, it's been, on the stuff that works, you've got, anywhere between sort of 20 and 30% annual compounding growth. You don't really see that across anything else. If you look at the stock market, I don't invest in stocks, but you're looking at anywhere between 7 and 10%, and that's really good, especially if you start branching out and seeing it over 10 years. And I know some people might go, well, it's Pokemon cards. Forget about that. That's the emotions kicking in. Logically, you look at it. It's the same thing as when I look at real estate and they're like, oh, that's a shitty area. It's like, well, that's based on your opinion and probably what you've seen on the media. Now let's look at the data. And if you look at the data and it makes sense, why would you go against that? Because now you're just going off a gut feel, which is based on nothing but emotions. What you want to be focusing on is the data, and that's going to guide you into investing the right way. But anyways, got a little serious, as I like to get. I clearly love this stuff. I'm not sure if it translates over the video, but I don't think I'd ever stop this sort of stuff. I know that people like Gary Vee absolutely love the hunt of, garage sales and, Pokemon. He collects Pokemon, but more so like baseball cards, sports cards. A couple of really, bigger people that are really astute investors. Patrick Bet-David also collects, and you just see why they do it, and there's just this hustle behind it. And if you can find something underpriced, which a couple of times I found in those boxes that I ended up buying, which was not part of the plan, but when you get a value play or buy under market by 20 or 30%, it's hard to say no. Plans around whether I'm going to sell. Maybe I'll do an update video on my Pokemon card investing journey in 6 months' time. It'll be a really cool catalog just to come back to and see what the collection looks like. In my ideal world, I get a really nice storage facility where all of it's consolidated and I'll know exactly what's where. And I just hate moving, and I hate the whole process of removal lists and things like that. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'll make it a project, and it might be like a weekend thing, get some help, shoot it for you guys as well, and it'll just be really cool content to look back on. But with that, I'm off to dance practice because I enjoy that so much. But in 4 weeks' time, we're off for the wedding. So I'm going to share a lot more with you guys. If you have watched all the way through, thank you so much. Leave a comment down below so I know who the real OGs are, and just write Charizard. That way it'll be really cool to just know who the real OGs following through the whole way through. I'll catch you guys in the next one.